Gotta go.
Shut it. Welcome to TwackTalk. I'm Ryan. This is D. This is Pump. This is being recorded on April 26th of 2026. Just for reference, because it may be relevant to whatever the hell we end up talking about, which at this point in time is,
we don't know.
going off. Now, would you like to continue now that we have said recording going?
Well, just before people start sending their nuclear hate mail in my direction, I just want to bring up that this week's snack sponsors are Popsicles and Ritz.
That's a messed up combo right there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because it's been a messed up week, ladies and gentlemen. As I was about to talk about, because like it feels like the little time you get on the weekends with all the chaos that goes on in the week, you're dealing enough with meeting an employer's demands, or you're trying to make ends meet financially, paying bills, yada, yada, yada. And so you really, when you're dealing with those stresses, like you really look forward to the weekend to be able to spend with your loved ones and maybe be able to go out and enjoy some little me time or something. No. The pumpkin spice Palpatine says, no, I'm going to start a war with Iran. And then as of this recording, it's like, oh, there's been a shooting. And it's like, why? It's been a trend lately. Like some of the most insanity happens on the weekend, and it's been like a trend for a while. I've noticed is the point that I'm getting at.
So first off,
I'm going to take a breath now.
Well, no. First off, and unless this turns out that this was like a false flag operation, which I mean, all indications that I've seen so far, and I mean, admittedly, we're less than 24 hours into this. It doesn't seem like it was. The weirdest thing is, this happens to be the only one of these things that he attends, and it turns into a three-ring circus. And then he uses it as a propaganda thing for trying to get his ballroom built. And why to get his ballroom built?
Yeah.
There's a lot of... and again, the Iranians are hilarious in their propaganda because they've already hit back. There's already a Lego video out there of them ripping on this. All that aside, it almost is, we deal with all the stressors of the daily week, as you said, and then they want to make sure that we're focusing on their news, even though they're trying to hide the news because people tend to ignore the news on the weekend. But they're trying to hide the news of whatever the hell they're doing. Like, oh, I don't know, starting a war in Iran. I don't know, releasing Epstein files right on a Friday so that people don't see it over the weekend. Those kind of things where it's like trying to hide it so that, yeah, you're right. You then have to pay attention to something that you don't want to pay attention to. You just want to go, I want to have a beer and sit by the pool, or I want to go for a hike in the woods and not see another human being for 24 hours, or discuss the political nightmare that is our existence. It's very frustrating.
Fatigue is really setting in.
I think the bigger thing is fatigue setting in for some of us. I think rage is setting in for others, and that is a dangerous component. And it'll be interesting to see what the trigger, was this dude just had a fame junkie, as the administration has stated he was, or did he actually have a grief? I mean, the last guy, which I think was the guy who was in the woods outside Mar-a-Lago, if I remember correctly, I think he was a fame seeker in many ways. The dude who shot at him while he was on the roof, or maybe I got them flipped. Maybe that guy had the grief and the other one was a fame seeker. It doesn't really matter. I mean, did we see a single assassination attempt during Biden's administration? No. Did we see a single assassination attempt during Obama's? No. I mean, did they probably occur and the Secret Service stopped it? Sure, but none of them happened like any of this. Either his Secret Service is unbelievably or woefully inept, or there are more attempts going on than we're aware of.
Well, it's like also why is this happening?
Because he's pissed everybody off.
Exactly. That's you know, I mean, that's when you're spewing divisive rhetoric. You know,
it's not even divisive rhetoric when you're an asshat.
You guys know that when I say words like I feel fatigued or divisive rhetoric, that's me trying to keep it PG. You know, like, because we all know, like,
so you're blaming me for taking the train off the rails. That's where, good old man just got right behind the wheel, drove this thing right into the.
You kind of do. You kind of do. You kind of grab something and then it's like,
okay, Marty McFly, you get in your DeLorean and you take off into the future while I drive the train right on in down into what was it? Something Canyon.
Hill Valley?
What was the name of the teacher in Back to the Future 3?
Strickland?
No. Strickland was what they changed. They changed the name because she didn't go into the canyon
or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
McFly!
So what else? I feel like you have like this wealth of topics right now that we need to tap into, D. Let's tap into let's use this as a therapy session. What can you tell us? Sit down on the couch with us, please advise us on how you're doing.
You know, I already do that with my actual therapist.
No. This is idiot therapy. That's real therapy. This is idiot therapy.
Okay.
This is like you go to the barber shop and you start talking to the barbers and you come out with some weirdo stuff, or you go to the bar.
Oh man,
maybe not the bar because that might get us censored.
No, where my brain just went. You don't understand. Pump may know.
Make sure it's for this show.
Yeah, it's for this show. But when you said barbers, like hanging out and talking to barbers, I'm thinking of the scene in Coming to America.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, has anyone watched the second one?
Conversations would be like we're talking about Muhammad Ali and Cassius Clay.
You know, I was always a fan of Cassius Clay. I'm not going to call him Muhammad Ali. His mama named him Cassius Clay. I'm going to call him Cassius Clay. Man, we derailed on from all the way from heavy metal to.
Don't worry, I'm sure this will be chopped up.
Bonsai.
This one's gonna be pureed.
I like the.
I'd prefer distilled, please.
There's a lot of good like comics out there that aren't being necessarily covered by the big two. There's one called Southern Bastards, which I think I talked about before on here. I may have mentioned of. It's basically about it's a crime comic. Basically, there's a murder that happens in this county in Alabama, and basically the whole town worships the high school football team and the coach. This cop has to go in and investigate, and she's the only black police officer in the county. So yeah, so it's a good story. So I've been like in recent years, I've been reading a lot of like stuff from like Dark Horse, Image, and some of the more like Vertigo stuff. So not too much mainstream superhero stuff.
I haven't, ever since Izzy was born, I really haven't, anything I've been picking up have been graphic novels here and there, like collections of issues. But some of the best ones that I found that were not the big two were coming out of either Image. Valiant resurrected themselves and went on a little spree there, which was pretty cool. They were putting out some good stories. But like Image had attracted some really good writers and artists. And there was a twisted one. It was called the East of West, I think. East West or East to West. It should be done by this point.
Yeah,
right? Like,
East to West. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I got like
the
first one.
The series it was like imagery was really good because it was this Wild West kind of atmosphere, but there was all this, like, one group was like this Japanese technocracy style group, but it was all these people that screwed the main character over, and he's like the devil. I forget what he. I have to go back and read it, but I think there's like a lot of good conceptual ideas out there that haven't really been expanded on or shouldn't change medium. I mean, you look at Alan Moore. Alan Moore actually made the comment at one point that he didn't want his stuff being created into movies or shows or whatever.
Yeah, he was pretty adamant about that, and that's kind of the reason why, like, he doesn't really do interviews anymore, because they keep he says, I find that they keep trying to think that they're being clever by rephrasing the same question asked, and he gets annoyed.
Trying to trip him up.
He just got fucking tired of doing the interviews. He says, how many times I got to tell you I'm not interested in it?
Well, then to see as League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, not a good film, but it's fun.
But the comic series is great.
The comic series is great, but I think the comic series would be hard to digest in a movie medium. So I don't disparage the movie necessarily. Like, I'm not going to say it's good, but I enjoy it. It's fun romp kind of material. You just kind of watch it and doesn't leave you with any major impact. The comics, I think there's more depth of exploration. There's character development and stuff like that. It's kind of like From Hell. From Hell it is, holy crap, man, that is just heavy ass reading. That is a heavy ass graphic novel. Yeah. The movie I find fun. It is fun. Wow, that sounds really twisted. Hey, Jack the Ripper. It's a fun movie. Let's just murder prostitutes with our fun time. But I think the movie's a fun portrayal of this weird distillation of what Alan Moore was doing. V for Vendetta. I thought it was good for what it was. And they kept pretty close to the graphic novel, if I remember correctly. Me personally, I know a lot of people hate it. Watchmen, I think, was unbelievably well done for what they were trying to do. They did change the ending, but that change was probably more relevant to a modern audience than it would be leaving it with the aliens attacking as a resolution. They did cut out and create it as a separate thing, the whole thing with the pirate ship. But that whole movie, like, I love the villain in that. Like, the villain comes to a conclusion, is executing that conclusion, and it's diabolical. And he knows if he has ever found out, he's going to be called a villain. But he's thinking he's doing it for the right reason. Like, I was talking actually with my brother about it this weekend. That story in Watchmen is the villain makes a decision. The train is going, and I can turn the thing and I kill one person, or I leave it and it kills 5. And he literally makes the decision to flick the thing to kill one person instead of killing 5. that is the final conclusion of that movie in the graphic novel, in my opinion. That's the, and he still questions whether or not he did the right thing, but that is like the resolution of it, is this, the whole thing where, the one person on one track versus 5 on the other.
Yeah, they're arguing that same,
the many versus the needs of the few, or the one. Yeah.
Yeah, they're arguing that same debate right now in the Daredevil Born Again show that I've been watching. Between Punisher and Daredevil, they're having that argument again.
It's the line between, who does make that decision, do they become the villain?
Yeah.
And anyway, I know I've said it before. Like, there's a lot of Alan Moore stuff that I like. The hilarious part is, I can't say that I like the other British writers of comics as well as I do Alan Moore. And like, they do the same. Alan Moore does the same level of brutality, the same level of rampant sexuality and stuff that you don't normally see in like mainstream comics. It almost seems like the others overdo it, that the violence is so much beyond, the sex is so much beyond, instead of it just being, all right, it's like one panel or something and they move on. Can't always say that about everything Alan Moore did. From Hell was pretty graphic, but
also Alan Moore is pretty known to be quite wordy in his stories. Here's a comic from the 90s, in particular the Image, as far as like that first run, that first crop of creators that were putting their stuff out. I was reminded of them the other day. I don't know if you guys remember a creator by the name of Eric Larson.
Yeah, it did Savage Dragon.
Yeah, Savage Dragon. He's still doing that. Like, he has not stopped an issue. Like, he has like amazing. He's got his own creation, and he's been doing it now for what, over 30 years.
Wow.
He is known for one of his issues that went really awry, where it was somebody put together a article on the bad results of what happened to female characters in comics.
Oh.
And in one of the issues of Savage Dragon, he finds his girlfriend stuffed in the fridge dead. I remember that is listed as one. There was one where it was Green Lantern. One of the Green Lanterns' girlfriend was killed.
Yeah, she was in the fridge.
It went. They broke down Gwen Stacy getting chucked off the bridge, but they broke down and they're like, this is, for female readers, this is what they're seeing. This is what happens when you date a superhero. This is what happens when you date that great guy, blah 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 blah. Those kind of things. And this is like one of the problems with the comic media, or medium at the time. But it may have been Gail Simone that actually wrote that. I can't remember.
It was.
Yeah, she did a run on Wonder Woman, and it was so good. I really respect her writing. Just excellent work. But yeah, I mean, I really haven't touched comics in like 10 years. It's kind of a bummer, because it's look, one of the problems that I started noticing right before I stopped collecting was in DC and Marvel. I want you to listen to this. You'll stop restarting things every year or two just because you want to make more money. Just stop it. Like, you can't create continuity. Nobody can enjoy your story. Mm-hmm. You're basically doing it because you don't have enough talent to keep the story going consistently for year after year after year after year. quit doing that junk crap, because nobody gives a crap anymore. And all you're doing is putting out issues that somebody can read. They'll read it for a year and then they're done. You're not creating any long-term readers. And then you're just doing it because, ooh, cool. And issue 1 sells 58 copies every single time it comes out, while issue 2 sells 20.
Yeah.
Maybe write better. I don't know. Do better art. Figure out a way to do it. I don't care. But stop doing it. That's why the comic medium isn't not necessarily the hottest right now. And if you keep retreading the same crap over and over and over and over again, yeah, we've all seen it before. Cool. Rock on. Anywho, my message to DC and Marvel.
Yeah, I pretty much, as far as comics go, like I'll pay attention to maybe like Daredevil and John Constantine. But other than that, I'll pick up the occasional something from Dark Horse or Image. Usually, probably something non-superhero-y. But yeah, I've got my own opinions about comics, but I think that could be saved for another podcast.
I almost feel like it's hard for somebody to get into comics, not only because, well, you really don't have your comic book stores populating the way that they used to, but who wants to go buy an issue of something that they don't know if they like to see if they can establish that? I almost want to say they need like the drug dealer to give them their first one for free.
Well, it's also they keep
you see some dude with a trench coat showing up at the elementary school. Hey kid, hey, I got an issue number 1 of Iron Man, or 120 Iron Man. This is where he gets the gold suit. Yeah. You want a copy of that? You want a copy?
It's like,
or how about over here? How about here? Wonder Woman 35. This is where Cheetah gets introduced.
Well, this is how they're getting people to watch TV series now. Is you'll get the first couple episodes that you can watch for free somewhere, but after that, you have to buy into it or get the network.
The sad thing is, I think it's actually an indication of the medium of comic books that I think kind of like written books are dying. I think comic books are dying in a way.
Yeah.
And I think
I think that sucks.
Yeah, I think it does too. There is this market, kind of like with vinyl records.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to exist. I think it's going to continue to be. It's in this weird fluctuating state of somewhere between collector and non-collector, and the revenues that they would hope for that would be coming from it aren't going to be coming from it anymore. In the way, I mean, the 90s when they were making goodles money and then went bankrupt is the hilarious part. The 90s when they were bang or bust on this, well, technology took over. There's a better way to read things. There's maybe not a better way, but there's a different way of reading things, much like there's a different way of listening to music. I mean, a lot of people have digitized their collection, and you have people going back and doing vinyl. I 100% get the idea on vinyl. I mean, there is something to hearing the needle going around and hearing that scratch of that sound being created by the needle going over the ridges in the record, which you didn't get with CD. You didn't get with a tape. You got the fuzz of how good or bad the recording was. You don't get that with a digital copy. It's clear. But people who are, and I think this even goes with digital music, if you listen to like Rick Beato or Professor Rock or any of the other ones that are out there who are reviewing stuff, you look at the Spotify list now, and dude, there might be like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 out of the top 10 who are names that you would recognize, and the rest are just a rando one-hit wonder or one hit that just drops on there. Okay, cool. That's great. But I mean, think about our childhood, and like, oh, the Rolling Stones kept repeating around even up into the 90s. What do we see now? I mean, Taylor Swift did really well. Good for her. I mean, she completely destroyed the charts. You might see Beyonce out there or something like that, or Kanye. Realistically, you might have maybe 10 or 15 artists possible at any given time who have repeat hits within a top 10 Spotify list. Seems kind of weird.
It's like the shelf life of artists was very short. I mean, look at the 80s. You had the first half of the 80s, which was kind of your bubblegum pop music. Then you have your later half of the 80s, which was when you got into your hair rock and your rap, and almost all of those bands, you might have had like four albums, and then they were done. They might still be on the touring circuit today, but that's more of a nostalgia act now.
But even now, you're not even getting 3 to 4 albums.
No, you're not.
You might get one song, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I mean that's not necessarily a new thing per se, because I mean, if you look at, I mean, Aha we knew one song of theirs here.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have been a bigger thing overseas, but they made one song here that hit. But I wonder if what is going on is we're creating less people, or maybe people who weren't big listeners to begin with back in like the 80s and stuff. They would buy an album because they had to. If they wanted to hear that song, they had to buy the album. So, or they bought the EP. Those people don't have to anymore. So the only people who are buying albums or listening to whole albums or actually digging in deep on any are the people who are the real listeners. The people who are actually spending the money on it. The people who are going to the shows of not the headliners. So not the people who are going to go see Taylor Swift, but the people who are going to go see, I don't know.
The opening act.
It's something else. You might have to go to a smaller venue. You're not going to a huge arena. You're going to, like Testament, or Dio. You're going somewhere different that you wouldn't normally necessarily go to for like a headliner. Because you actually like their music. You're going for more than just the one or two hits or that one album that you liked of theirs. You're going for what they have as a group. And maybe it's creating a distinction, and maybe this applies even going all the way from cartoons through comics, through music, that there's a distinction between the collector and the passive fan.
The one that looks into it for something more.
The collector has an investment, a personal investment in it, either a love of the medium, a love of the art, or it could even be just a status level amongst their peer group that happens to be all collectors. The person who collects vinyl because all their friends are collecting vinyl, that kind of thing, where it becomes a group event. Or the person who is just a pure audiophile and has to listen to everything on record so that they can hear every little bit and piece of it. Whatever it is, those people are actually going to buy and collect and hold on to those things. Everybody else is, even with books and stuff, people are going to either get a digital copy because they are going to satisfy the immediate itch and move on, and be it a comic book or an actual book, and they move on. And maybe that's the point of time we're at. We are no longer in a point where you have to have a material copy of everything to satisfy both the collectors and the passive people who walk in and out of the store with doing a browsing function. Those samplers of the medium now can come and go. they're not trapped because there are sample things like Spotify. And maybe our economic system of how we have that set up no longer matches with what we expect. Maybe the artists for comics don't need to be going through Marvel or DC. They need to be going through Patreon to get support for themselves directly. Maybe the music artists need to market their stuff directly and set up their own tours and go through and do small club venues.
Bandcamp gives that option.
Say what?
Bandcamp support artists directly. So.
And Patreon provides for like artists can do that with Patreon and some of the other apps processes out there. So there's ways of doing it that they can make a living. But I mean, the problem is you have to find a group interested in you and collectively be interested in what you're doing. And that's the hard part. Especially with music, if you're fighting with Spotify. I mean, D, how much stuff are you sending to us from Spotify? How much new stuff are you actually finding on Spotify?
Mentioning Spotify for, going on Spotify and then being introduced to a track from a band that you've not heard of before. I can see how a person that's a collector, this becomes a browsing point for them. And maybe that's something that comics needs, something where somebody can get a sample of it, see if they like it.
Well, here's the thing is you're not going to find that amongst Marvel and DC.
No.
You almost need that as an independent platform and the question is, for comics or writing, do you actually even need to go through something like Spotify? If the web is out there and people can find, it
is, but for Spotify, I might go on Spotify and say, hey, I like this kind of music. I want to search by this category. Maybe somebody out there needs to have something for comics where if somebody wants to watch, or read dystopian comics, maybe there's a dystopian category. If somebody wants crime, thrillers.
So you're saying we should open this up conceptually and maybe even do it with writing in the fact of books that,
Perhaps.
have books where it leads you, instead of leaving it to the Google algorithm, which leads you to whatever is actually behind the scenes paying them for their yield, whatever makes them money in the end result, have something that actually leads based on what readers pursue. I don't know. It's an interesting concept. So,
well,
cartoons to comics to music, we went all over the place.
I almost got to start talking about Zydeco for a minute there.
So are we going to put a cap in this one?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Dragging it out back and executing it.
All right, folks, you can find us on the socials at Antwacky Studios. Go to our Substack, antwackystudios.bsky.social. Find us on YouTube, and that's where you can actually see the video version of this, obviously. And for the audio versions, you can obviously go to Spotify or Overcast or Apple. Email is antwackystudios@gmail.com. Kayfabe Cribs got some good stuff has been going on. We got like 2 or 3 episodes out. There will be more coming. If you want to interact with me personally, you can do that through Blue Sky at Squid Adrift. I don't really have anything else. What about you guys?
Probably the best way to get a message through is either in the forums below or over on Substack. Otherwise,
the email.
Or
email too.
Yeah, we have email.
We have other projects coming, and they will be announced when.
Don't talk about other projects. We exist in the moment. We are momentary beings. We exist in the moment.
I always have several irons in the fire.
Well, you are a squid. That's why you got 8 arms going all over the place.
Bye.